on the Daily Maverick at the moment is a story about corruption at the Mthatha High Court. And we are joined now by one of the journalists who wrote that piece, Ray Hartle. Ray, with us via Zoom. Very good afternoon to you.
Hello, John. Good afternoon to your listeners.
These are relatively new allegations, first made, you tell us, in an anonymous letter to the acting judge president of that court and the acting deputy judge president of that court, 5 months ago?
That's right, John. The allegations were made in an anonymous letter that was sent through in December of last year. We got a copy of the letter sometime towards the end of January, February. But bear in mind that the allegations, as we report, have really been swirling around Mthatha for many years, maybe almost as long as 2 decades. That's certainly what has come to us from the various legal practitioners, advocates, and attorneys whom we interviewed over the last 2 months, who have given us quite a bit of insight into the history of these allegations and whether or not they're still happening. In fact, we spoke to one lawyer who told us about allegations from about 2007, when the registrar of the Mthatha High Court at that point used to insist that attorneys bring them a bottle of rum before officials would process whatever the business they had in the court. Now, the same attorney who told us that story then related that as recently as a week before we interviewed him, a colleague had been approached by an official trying to secure a bribe for work that needed to be done. So it's historical allegations of corruption, but the allegations are also very much present, still happening this year.
And people are being asked to pay in cash or in kind in order to get a date on the court roll or to get documentation, which is important for the successful prosecution or defense of a case, and what other services, which should come free of bribery charges, are being asked and offered.
So the allegations in the letter really relate to civil matters within the Mthatha High Court. But it is obviously quite possible that corruption can be affecting criminal matters as well. In respect of civil matters, there are various roles that administrative officials play within the court, allocating matters for hearings within the court, allocating dates to those matters, also sorting out files, updating files. There's so much work that an attorney has to do to ensure that the case that will be presented in court has covered every single base. So attorneys are constantly coming to court, needing to update documents, needing to place affidavits before the court. And it seems that every time that happens, there is a payment that needs to be paid by the attorney to the particular official. When a matter is at its end, there's a judgment that's been handed down, the attorneys are still on the hook because now they need to get their bills of costs processed within the court, and a bribe will be extracted for that job as well. So we're told that the amounts range from 3,000 Rand up to 15,000 Rand for a bill of costs to be finalized within the court. Some attorney firms who are new must pay before a date will be allocated or before the task is performed by the court official. But some who have been there for many years doing work in the court and are well known only have to pay once the task has been completed. So there's a very detailed process, it seems, of how the bribes are solicited and how they're paid. We're not sure exactly what the preferred method of payment is. We are told that transfers have been made into people's accounts. We are told that there are certain in-kind payments that have occurred. It seems the bulk of the payments are made via the use of articled clocks. So If you attend the Mthatha Court, for example, on a Tuesday, which is the motion court day, there can be up to 150 to 200 matters on the roll on Tuesday. And most of the attorneys' firms are represented by young articled clerks who are fresh out of university, have done some basic training, and are now working in attorney firms. And they are the ones who typically are told by an official in the court that they must pay in order for a job to be done. It's not done by the senior attorneys, and so the senior attorneys in these firms are protected. It's the young article clerks who must do the actual legwork of making sure a date is secured for a hearing.
Yeah, but you see,
Or updated.
what I'm really struggling to understand is how this has been allowed to continue for. I mean, you report that it goes back to the mid 2000s, and yeah, it might be the article clerks who are the point of contact with the corrupt court officials, but the money's still coming from the firm. And how is it possible that this kind of ongoing corruption can happen in a court of law without somebody blowing the whistle well before December 2024? Do you have any understanding of why it? I mean, essentially, it seems as if it's been understood practice. It's been part of the fabric of the High Court when it comes to civil cases. It's crazy.
I think there are a couple of reasons why it's not been attended to. One is clearly that the officials themselves are working probably in cahoots. It's not just a single aberrant official who's doing something, but there seems to be a culture within that office that has allowed it to happen, to be kept a secret, and so forth. The second factor, of course, is the attorneys who are participating. Now, for an attorney to participate in an illegality such as this would be a clear reason why they ought to be struck off the roll of attorneys. So they're keeping quiet if they participated at any stage in this corruption activity. And then the third one is, I think, just senior officials, the authorities, whether in the court itself in Mthatha, whether in the division of the Eastern Cape, of which Mthatha is the busiest court, but not the only court, or whether it's within the National Judiciary and Office of the Chief Justice. All of those officials, all of those institutions need to be held accountable for this issue of corruption not having been addressed previously. It's a good point to note that even though this letter, this anonymous letter, was presented in December, we have been working on the story certainly over the last 2 months. It's been widely spoken about. There's in fact been no action taken against any official. All of the officials that were named in the anonymous letter are still working in Mthatha, bar one. The one official who's no longer working there, I understand this person retired in January and therefore is no longer in the system. But everybody else still works there. So no action has been taken. This is an indictment of every single senior official and manager in the judiciary, in the Office of the Chief Justice, and even in the Department of Justice, which previously would have had a mandate over the Mthatha High Court.
Oh, well, maybe now that it's public in the way that it is now public, I don't know, maybe somebody senior in the Department of Justice is going to have a read of this and be as outraged as you and I, and I'm sure our listeners are listening to the conversation, and take some action. Thank you very, very much, Faye, for writing the story, doing the work that led to the writing of the story, and chatting to us about it. We've been talking to investigative journalist Ray Hartle about a story that he wrote along with Johnny Isaac, and that story is available to read further on dailymaverick.co.za.